The war in the north is about to be decided as forces from the Easterlings descend upon Dale and the Lonely Mountain. Will the dwarves and men of Dale be able to hold back this unyielding tide, or will all fall to darkness? Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Jackie Fish, and welcome back to some more Total War Rise of Mordor. Today we are diving in with an epic 3 vs 2 defense of the north. We are on the Dale map, which is just one of my favorite Rise of Mordor maps, not only because of the awesome city of Dale, but we also have the new improved mountain as well. I love what they've done with kind of the entrance to it, and I also love how the dwarves have set up their last stand, preparing to make this this position, as fortified as they physically can. So obviously you guys have seen these units a million times. The dwarves have a ton of crossbowmen supported by some iron guard and also some of their normal spearmen. We also have some of the tomb wardens. These guys also, these are the mansion reclaimers. These guys are absolutely brutal. We also have some axemen of the Red Mountain as well, so and a beautiful looking shock infantry that can just decimate hordes of orcs as they descend upon them. We also have some of Dane's guard as well, so this is Dane's Ironfoot, sons of the mountain, and there is Dane himself ready to fight and unfortunately die beneath the mountain. And I always say this, but oh my god, would I love a War in the North TV show where we do get kind of the the build up to the War in the North, and that final battle beneath the gates of Erebor would be absolutely spectacular. And then finally, over on the far right hand side for the dwarves, we do have a unit of tomb wardens. So that's going to be holding that hill pretty goddamn effectively. Then going up against them, we obviously also have the force inside the city, but we have one army outside, which is going to be approaching the mountain. And then we have 2 Eastling armies that are already descending on the city itself, just kind of basically forming up their battle lines as best as they can. It does seem like this unit of Eastlings have actually already taken 30 casualties. I don't really know where they got that. I guess that was probably from the tower somewhere, but these guys are going to be setting themselves up as best as possible, and yeah, just really trying to penetrate the defenses of the city before they do really move in, because the men of Dale are sitting a little bit more defensively. And then we also have an assault coming in from the other side as well, so again, just hundreds of Easterlings storming the settlement. Again, you can really see them casualties racking up from the towers, which is why I assume they have been trying to take them as effectively as possible. And finally, the men of Dale, you can see them scattered out. We've got some Dalian swordsmen ready to fight, and they'll have basically elite soldiers scattered throughout the city as well with their Vineland Guard. We also have a couple units of dwarves as well, the warriors of the Red Mountain, positioned to help their allies, and we also have a unit of Dwarven Barrack Guard as well. So there's actually some really good Dwarven units inside the city as well, which is going to be kind of difficult. That is going to mean that, the defense outside of Erebor is going to be a little bit weaker, but that shouldn't really affect them too much, considering there is only one army marching on the gates of Erebor, whereas the rest of the army is going for the city itself. We also, by the looks of it, probably have a unit of cavalry. No, these are just for supply barrels. Okay, these supply barrels actually just replenish ammunition, but they're just situated there, and I don't think they are really going to be able to do anything in this battle. It is always good to try and use them as much as you can, because they can really provide you with some additional ammunition. So right now we are getting the first little nice play here by the Eastlings, getting some archers up onto the wall. This is a perfect position to be on. They can fire down on the defenders very effectively. Obviously, we have to be a little bit worried about being counter-sniped, being shot back, because they have 0 protection and they're a pretty easy shot. But right now, they are unleashing their ammunition, and it's unfortunate they can't use them supply barrels against the defenders, because that'd be really good to be able to resupply. Right now, though, their main focus is actually going in on these rangers, and this is a scary unit to lose, not a unit you want to be taken down. Luckily, they are in the market, and you can see a lot of these arrows actually bouncing off of the market. They need to return fire. Actually, this is really good. They haven't lost a single man yet. This is actually a really good position to be in, and honestly, I wouldn't mind maybe just counter-firing from here, because seemingly they are taking next to no damage right now. And here we go, the return fire, and they'll be doing way more damage in on these Easterlings than the Eastlings are doing to them. For whatever reason, they are, got bulletproof tents, which are proving themselves very, very effective. And right now, the rest of the Eastling forces are just mounting up. We do have the first assault over here, and a really nice move being popped off right here, throwing in these amazing Vigir warriors into the shipment. They will eat them alive, which is exactly why we're seeing them being committed to this fight. The shipmen just simply, they'll obviously take, a handful of them down, but they are just not well enough equipped to deal with a shock infantry like this. And you'll see them axes making quick work. So again, this is one of the great things about being the attackers is you can generally decide what units you face up against what units, which is always, you know, one of the advantages of being the attackers. It means that they can commit these axes to a fight like this, and you can already see how much it is going in favor. Over 70 kills so far on these axes. Very nice indeed. We are also now finally getting that movement with the other army now. So this army is now going to start marching towards the mountain. And obviously, it's a pretty... I love also, look how amazing that looks as well. Off in the distance. Oh, man, that looks spectacular. But it is always going to be very interesting in a battle like this. Whoever wins these side fights are going to be able to reinforce the city. If the dwarves win, they can then leave the Lonely Mountain and go and reinforce Dale. And obviously, if the Eastlings can clean up the Dwarven forces, they can obviously do the same. There's also a large contingent of Dalian soldiers always set back here. So I'm wondering if they're going to almost abandon the city, maybe, and fall back to the mountain, like obviously they do in the lore, and they make their last stand, which would be actually epic. That's my man. I'll die on this rock. I think it'd be such a cool kind of war in the north, exploring, you know, Angmar and the struggles that were happening up here. It would be absolutely awesome to watch. Also, as well, I'm not sure this is a place for it, but apparently the Amazon TV show has decided that they're going to be filming season 2 in England, which is a bit of a yikes. That's a bit of a red flag, right? Giving up the beautiful lands of New Zealand. Obviously, I imagine COVID probably has some place to play in that, but even still, that's a bit of a red flag right there. As an Englishman myself, I can tell you that it is probably nowhere near as beautiful as New Zealanders. Anyway, back to the battle. As you can see, the assault is happening on every single front now. The men of Dale are going to be pressed up pretty hard as the assaults come in from basically every single street. You can see 4 streets down on this side, and then also 3 streets over on the other side. And look at that already. The Axemen have broken their way through, and now they are moving on to the next. One of the things that the shipmen do have an advantage of in these street fights is that javelin volley. The javelin volley will absolutely decimate the assaulting soldiers, which is probably why them Axemen decided to go back. They just set ablaze to the town and then went back. I mean, Dale is going to be left in ruins after this battle has finished. It really, really is. But yeah, for the most part, they're not planning on really getting stuck in. Another archer volley coming in again. I think they're just trying to set more of these settlement buildings ablaze, really try and get that devastation racked up. But I've never really found it being too worth it. But maybe if you can burn enough of the settlement damage will rack up, and you will start getting some extra bonuses to your stats. It does also seem like the dwarfs are just patiently, they've kind of moved out a little bit. So I wonder if they're planning on, you know, kind of taking the fight to the Easterlings. Wouldn't be a bad idea, especially if the Eastlings come like a bit too far in. If the Eastlings like set up their army here, and then you have this big push out from here, and then obviously also the main Dwarven assault party, that could be pretty deadly, and I kind of almost feel like that's what they're planning on doing. But we'll have to see exactly what they do get up to on that flank as the assaults continue to move in. More reinforcements thrown into the fray as Dwarf and Man fight together against Man to honor the old alliances. Really cool stuff. And the Vidalian infantry are one of the units that we've had in the game for, you know, I think it was like second to the Urukai, and they still to this day look great. And they are making a decent amount of progress against these Easterlings. You can see one of the units is already down under half, or just about to hit under half. A fresh unit has been committed now, but it's already lost 10 men as more of the archers get committed in. We are also seeing a unit of Dwarven Eren Mithrin veterans being thrown in. And again, this will be a very strong unit to commit in against the Easterlings. This unit can break through their armor very effectively and then push on elsewhere. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see some of these missile volleys coming in, really trying to focus them down. The left-hand side is a pretty even affair. I think for the most part, neither side is really taking the edge, just trading soldier for soldier. in this battle, as the Vidalian swordsmen are down to 84 and the Eastlings are down to 94. So they are winning that engagement. That's going to open up that street, which is going to be quite nice. They can also then, which is one of the reasons I assume this large portion of the Eastling force is kind of being very patient, is once they break through this right-hand side, what they can then do is they can then bring archers up through this street and just have archers fire directly down onto the halberds and onto the other scary infantrymen. So that's actually a really nice play, and I imagine that's what the Eastlings are trying to do. We are seeing them fall back though, and obviously commit up a unit of located room halberds. These halberds are going to be much better in these closed streets, and it's going to be much scarier for them to try and defend this. Honestly, not a bad idea for the defenders would be to maybe set up a dual kind of assault, like just fall back there and there, and let these halberds have to decide, you know, what they do. They'll probably hold back and have to throw in some more infantry, which would not be a bad idea, because obviously fighting these halberds from the front here would not be a great idea. Over on the left-hand side as well, we are seeing soldiers being traded, but again, a pretty good fight so far. And over on this right-hand side, Vidalian soldiers are almost spent. We do have some warriors of a Red Mountain who have been committed in and reinforced that. I guess that's one of the advantages that the Men of Dale do have. They have a decent reserve stock down here at the gate that they can start to filter in where they need to. And as you can see, it's not really like the attackers are being ultra aggressive. They're taking this very slow and steady. As the shipmen now do engage, they were able to throw half their ammunition. They weren't even able to throw any of their ammunition, which is going to be brutal, because obviously that's taken into account a lot of the time whenever you're looking at, like, you know, how effective a unit is in the game and pricing it on stats and costs. Because they have that javelin, that's going to make them, you know, much more expensive than maybe their stats are actually representative of. And the fact that they weren't able to lob them in before the battle, that's going to mean this is not going to be a great fight. And once again, these axes is doing the Lord's work. The Dark Lord's work, I should say. 260 kills on them right now. They are shaken and almost exhausted. But still, definitely got their money's worth right off the bat. More reinforcements are being sent in, some watchpost sentries. But again, these are not exactly the units you want to be committing in against heavy shock infantry like the Eastlings do have available to them. But hey, more men to the breaches, commit. And they're obviously keeping back more of their elite soldiers, as more of the city is, you know, kind of in ruins right now. So 70% settlement damage. I don't really know exactly when the settlement damage does start to rack up a bit more, because more of the settlement is burning. It's going to spread down this entire corridor. Again, we're getting more of the axes. And these are the warlords. So these are the top tier units. Again, sorry for the shadows. Dale is a very shadowy city, but hopefully you guys can still make it out. You know, what exactly is going on? I think there's a better angle for me. Maybe like this would be better. But yeah, these warlords are deadly warriors. The best shock infantry in the game almost, as the fire continues to spread through the city. And that is, yeah, that is brutal. The city will be in ruins by the end of this. But the battle... Oh my god, look at that! The main citadel has also been set ablaze. Man, that is brutal. Yeah, morale is starting to kick up now. 16% settlement damage. The fire is spreading. Oh my god, that is insane. Look at that. That is epic. Look at the smoke coming off of it as well. Attila and its destruction were always pretty goddamn epic. As the bulletproof tents finally go down to the flames. Yeah, I mean, oh man. Look at that. Awesome stuff. As the city of the free peoples of Middle-earth continue to be ravaged by evil. Again, I'm so curious about what the hell this army's doing. It's just kind of sitting off. You would assume they'd want to get stuck in or move into the city. Like, what they could do is just start assaulting that city, go through the gate with their catapults, and then try and, you know, outflank the defenders. But right now, it's not looking too good. And then finally, over on this left-hand side, it has been breached. Heavy casualties by the Eastlings, but they have been able to secure this. And you can see them just cutting down the routing units. And honestly, I must say, this battle is not looking good for the defenders. So far, as more of the routing soldiers just get clobbered down. And the streets are not looking great. More shock infantry being able to be committed though, which is obviously also pretty good. But the defenders are definitely up against it. And even with more reinforcements being sent in, we've got shock infantry over on this side versus shock infantry. And in a situation like this, you're going to need every soldier you can bring to bear. So if I was the dwarves at this point, unless there's explicit rules, I would just bring my army inside of the city. You know, if these Eastlings don't want to assault me, then hey, that's on them. I'll bring my army inside of the city and be like, bring it on then. Because I feel almost as if that army of Eastlings has to attack the dwarfs, you know? This is a 2v1 after all, you know? Sorry, a 3v2. It's not like, you know, the battle's super close and this is like I feel like this is some tactical play to take the city and then deal with the dwarfs afterwards. And if I was the dwarves, I was like, hey, if you're gonna make me wait 20, 30 minutes for combat, I'm going inside of the city and you can try and shovel me out of it. But I wish you good luck, sir, because a dwarven force embedded in a fortress is not an easy task to dislodge, that is for sure. Do let me know in the comments as well, guys, if you want to keep on seeing more Rise of Mordor on the channel. I generally try to get 2 to 3 battles up a week. So obviously subscribe if you are enjoying this type of content and obviously you enjoyed the story campaign. Hopefully we'll go ahead and get more of that story campaign in the future, and this time a different scenario, because that would be very, very awesome. It was so much fun watching the dwarves march to reclaim Gundabad. And wow, the shipmen are broken and have the watch post been broken? No, they're just falling back now. Okay, giving up this. Oh my god, look at that. I've never seen anything so brutal in Total War. The smoke just coming off of the city looks absolutely spectacular. And so far, I mean, this is looking scary. The men of Dale are fleeing for their lives, retreating back, and now it's really up to the attackers to pursue them. They do not simply want to give these positions up for free. And they want to try and make sure that they catch as many of these routing units as they can. Yeah, here they come indeed. Run! Fly, you fools! Get to the inner layer. And that's exactly what they are doing, falling back right now as best as they can. But it's not exactly like they have a ton of men. Like, a large amount of their army is just situated here. And I'm not exactly sure why it's situated here. At this point in the battle, they need to commit these guys in. Like, I can only assume that there's some special rules at play that we are not too privy to. But at this point, surely these soldiers become activated and get committed in, because the city is going to fall. But again, maybe they are planning on this army to go and retreat back to the mountain. I mean, if that's the case, then I obviously take back everything I say, because maybe that mountain last stand is what they're going for, you know, like a true war in the north. Like when is it Bard's grandson or Bard's son and Dane fight beneath the mountain and make their last stand. Because so far the city does not seem safe, I'm not going to lie. The city is looking in a very, very bad way, if you ask me. But obviously these things are always going to have the advantage in this initial stage because of their sheer weight of numbers. You know, that extra player really adds up. And this means the attackers can be a little bit sloppier. They can just like kind of commit men in. They can kind of just, you know, brute force their way through the battle. Yeah, and you can see more men retreating back. So I can only assume that this is all set up and part of a scenario where these guys are going to all fall back and defend the mountain. Because, I mean, for the most part, this would not be a good position to defend. I mean, actually, it wouldn't be awful because you could just set up archers on the wall and fire on the enemy as they come in. There's only 2 ways in. So actually not that bad. I mean, you also obviously have the gatehouse and the bridge that's defended by dwarves. But yeah, I think the city is lost, and I imagine they're falling back. There are a few units that I think have glitched out through pathfinding, or maybe they've just set up a small defense here at the center of Dale. But everyone else is running back. The market towns are though being assaulted, and some rear guards are having to be deployed as they fight in the market to bide enough time for everybody else to fall back. You can see the detail on the swords, the armor. Always a pleasant sight. And yeah, here we go. So that must be what they're doing. So then I take back the Eastling Assault Force and the dwarves going inside of the city. Sometimes it's hard to tell when they don't put it in the battle description exactly what's going on, but normally you can kind of make out exactly what's planning, and I did suspect that maybe that's what they were planning, but I wasn't too sure, because sometimes people go for a cinematic battle, some people go for a super try-hard battle, so it is always kind of hard. But yeah, we are seeing a mass retreat now, with only a handful of soldiers being left inside of the city. This brave rear guard of dwarfs biding valuable time for their allies. Because again, if this was just a try-hard battle, which would be hilarious, the attackers could just go and take the city center and win on time. All they have to do is capture the city center, and then they have to hold it for 150 seconds, which is something that they could technically do. But yeah, right now, I mean, still for the most part, there's going to be a hefty force defending this mountain, but they're still going to be outnumbered almost 2 to 1 when it comes to that. So that is going to be pretty goddamn scary. We're going to have to be very careful not to overcommit. And we also have some halberds being brought up now to deal with these dwarves. They are fighting uphill, and as we found out in that previous siege battle we did, halberds fight very poorly uphill. It allows the spears to get that extra reach and just get on into them. So you want to try your best to avoid that as best as possible. But yeah, for now the city is lost, and yeah, these things are roaming through. I'm assuming we're going to get soldiers moved in. So the question is, have the defenders done enough in this battle? We'll have to see. So what I'll do now is I'll skip ahead, because the fighting inside the city, there's only a handful of remnants units, unit variable spear guard is about to be enveloped, and then I assume they'll form up underneath the mountain, and everybody will be moving into position. So I'll skip ahead now until the armies are ready to assault and everybody's set up, and we'll watch the last stand of the brave men and dwarves of the north. Okay, so before we look at the fight beneath the mountain, I have to go ahead and give a big shout out to the spear guard who are fighting to the last man. I mean, they've just broken. They've been holding this position for a long time. Only 109 kills, but look how many units they held up. Seriously, big props to the dwarfs right there. The rest of the armies have made their way outside of the city, and right now they are just volleying in arrow after arrow, trading with the crossbows as they're just trying to open up this gate and focusing all them arrows into the dwarfs. And this is kind of bad for the dwarfs. They're taking a lot of damage here. Luckily, not losing too many Tomb Wardens, but there are Tomb Wardens in this blob, and if these golden men die, that is not going to be a great thing. Luckily, the dwarfs are in shield wall, but they're going to find themselves in a bad situation very quickly. This other Eastling army is going to completely come in and envelop them. The rest of the army, we are seeing them completely fallen back now, and this is a very fresh dwarven force ready to make this last stand beneath the mountain. But yeah, they do need to be careful. Obviously, they're trying to take their pound of flesh as well as some of their rangers, volleying in and duking it out with the enemy archers, which might be a good idea, might also be a bad idea, because it is quite hard to bring these numbers down, and they're almost out of ammunition. So at this point, it's almost like, what's the point of shooting them, because they're going to be useless. Well, not useless, but they're going to be a lot less effective very soon. And yeah, look at that. This entire unit of Tomb Wardens is almost down. This unit of Spear Guard over on this side being taken down. And the Dwarven crossbows need to be very careful, because the Eastlings are rushing towards them with full force. And man, that would be a juicy prize if they could try and catch one or two of these units. And I think they might catch this one on the left. The dwarves aren't great over long distances. They're more of a sprint, in the mountain is a fair way away. And yeah, look at that. They are charging, getting their extra boost of speed. They might be able to catch these guys, but I think for the most part they'll be able to get away, as there are some more units as well. Yeah, I think they'll just about escape as long as they keep up the momentum. So yeah, I mean, for the most part, this gate force has been annihilated by the archers. However, they have taken up the majority of the enemy missiles, which is fairly decent, and now the dwarves can fall back. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe turn around and try to get a volley off at the Loke Rim, and this will be where they make their stand. Okay guys, here we go. The forces have assembled, the artillery is ready, and the final stand of the men of the north will begin right here. The artillery ranges in, the arrow fire descending, and as you can see, things are looking very, very unfortunate for the dwarfs and men. They are really, really up against it right now. We'll speed up the camera really quickly so that we can, yeah, we can zoom around here. But yeah, as you can see, the forces just coming in are going to be overwhelming. I believe there's 2,800 of the defenders left and over 6,000 attackers left. Obviously, there are a lot of elite soldiers left on the battlefield, but my god. Is it going to make for a very, very interesting last stand. And these battles are always extremely cool, I have to say. I love the battles that do take us on a little journey, a scenario where you have these cool cinematic quirks popping off as well. Always my favorite battles. And if you guys enjoy these kind of like cinematic battles where there's more a story to them, do let me know in the comments down below, because I'm sure the guys in the Rise of Mordor Discord who recorded this would be happy to go ahead and do more battles similar like to the famous battles that we know and love, if that's something people want to watch. Because obviously, big shout out to them. The archer fight is just horrendous. The flames coming in. Look at that, the artillery hitting him once again. And just look at all that arrow fire. Absolutely brutal. The first layer of dwarven defenses have been breached now as well. You can see the enemy have broken through this section of the defenses. And the arrow fire is just racking up horrendous amounts of kills as dwarf and man make their last stand. Luckily, there are Vineland Guard in this formation, supported by elite shock infantry, so I definitely think that these things will be losing a handful of men here. A decent portion of their army will be gone. But I just do not see any way for the dwarfs and men of Dale to make it out of here. But the sheer amount of damage that's coming in. And the Eastlings just look absolutely endless. I mean, look at their ranks just firing in more reinforcements. Marching their way and charging their way into battle. I mean, the army is just endless. Look at the ranks. There's still so many reserves. And this, honestly, if this is not worthy of a like, I don't know what is. If you've made it to this point in the video, make sure you give a like down below, because my gods, this is truly, truly epic. You guys can see the forces committing in. Hundreds upon hundreds of men. Thousands upon thousands of men. Fighting beneath the mountain. Truly spectacular indeed. If we take a look at the kind of nice little outlook as well, our reserves, you can see that most of the reserves of Eastlings have been committed now, but lines are breaking. There is a big gaping hole in the formations, and you know how much I love a big gaping hole. These soldiers can just pile their way through and then use that to their advantage. Some of the dwarven or some of the men of Dale, the Dalian shipmen, are close to breaking, and I think the sheer weight that they are up against will be overwhelming them soon enough. One of the nice things is about, you know, when people do form these defensive formations as the attacker, as that you can always use it against them. That's exactly what the attackers are doing. They're shooting the other side of this, I guess, kind of like semi-square right in the back, because obviously as they're defending over on that side of the battlefield, their rears are completely exposed. And there you go, one of the generals going down. That is Bard. I think it's only a matter of time until the rest of the army crumbles. It looks like this left flank is almost spent. As the halberds, with the support of all that missile fire. I mean, look at the red as well. It is truly just piling up. The artillery must be enough to scare any man. Now, where are the Eagles when you need them? This would be a perfect battle for the Eagles to turn up and reinforce the battle lines. Unfortunately, I think this day, no such help will come. Or an army from the Woodland Realm approaching on the hill, horns blaring. Something like that would be truly epic, but not all stories have happy endings, and I think this is going to be a story without that happy ending. Unless you're an orc, of course, and then it's a very happy ending, because meat will indeed be back on the menu. Basically, you're turning up to the battlefield after it's already been done, and it's just like a buffet. spread across the fields of Dale. Now the Archer Fire is taking another target, now hitting these Vineland Guard in the back. And yeah, the gaps are already starting to appearing. The last reserves are now being committed. We're getting the Tomb Wardens, sorry, the Mansion Reclaimers even, now being thrown in to help bolster this assault. But again, that arrow fire is causing a lot of issues. Luckily, there's not that much arrow fire left, but I think the damage has already been done. And as you can see, the bands of power above, there are still 5,000 attackers coming in right now, up against 1,000 defenders. And yeah, as soon as one of these flanks crumble, it's over. Hundreds upon thousands of men will be making their way through this position. And there you go. The chargers coming in with the Mansion Reclaimers are like, oh crap, our flanks are gone. Fall back. And yeah, you can see the forces trying to push their way back as best as possible. But obviously, the relentless assault is not going to let them retreat with unscathed. And they are pursuing them in full force. Man, I definitely feel sorry for people who had already clicked off this video, watched the first bit and was like, ah, no, not, you know, whatever. People who have made it to this part of the video, my God. What an epic last stand. Halberds being pushed on this flank. And now the bubble gets pushed in even more. As you can see, there is no hope left. Now the crossbows are having to be lobbed into battle. As Dale burns in the background. It'd be so cool if the city was just still on fire in the background. It does also look beautiful from this angle as well. This map is truly spectacular. The crossbows, however, unfortunately no match for the shock infantry the Eastlings are deploying to this battlefield. There's some barrack guard over here. Handful of them left. Fighting tooth and nail, but being matched every step of the way. At this point, it is just trying to kill as many as possible. Try and make the slightest bit of difference in the wars to come. Because this battle is truly over. Now we're getting halberds lobbed into the back, and that must be enough to rout them. Yeah, with only 20 seconds left, you can see the battle is folly, and it is over. Man, what an engagement. That battle definitely picked up towards the end. That was a truly, truly spectacular last stand. And the dwarves did indeed give it their all, and they died underneath the gates of Erebor. I mean, what is not to love? There you go. Close victory there. The rest of the dwarves breaking and fleeing inside of the mountain as quickly as they can. So what I'll do is I'll skip through. I am pretty interested to see how many kills the dwarves got there in the end. Hey, some of these Erebor spear guards didn't get a single kill. They were probably the ones who died on the bridge without ammunition. I mean, nothing too crazy, honestly. There's no kills. Like, I would assume these to be in like a couple hundreds, but no one really getting over 150 kills there, which is, yeah, pretty interesting. Over on the side as well, 287 kills on these Vargai Lances or Vagir warriors right there. The axe is doing the serious work. But there you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this battle. If you did, make sure to drop a like and a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.